listeners, to another episode of The Mindful Living with your host, Rima. As always, today we are diving into a very important, crucial topic that's not discussed enough. What happens to your body postpartum, and how to reclaim your health while nurturing your baby? So, uh, if you're a new mom or expecting, you may have heard about the joys of motherhood. But what about the physical and emotional challenges that come with it? Specifically, we are going to explore how to transform your health after birth and prevent long term issues like diabetes while making sure your baby gets the best start in life. And to help me with this conversation is Ashley Perry Lambert, the incredible creator of the Mama's Golden Era movement. Now, Ashley is a faith based health strategist dedicated to helping postpartum and breastfeeding moms regain their health, maintain balanced blood sugar, and also thrive in this season of life. Her compassionate, faith driven approach empowers women to step into their most confident, energized selves. So, if you're wondering why no one talks about what really happens to your body after giving birth, and how you can not just recover but truly thrive, probably reinvent yourself, this episode is definitely for you. So let's get quickly started. So, Ashley, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute honor having you with us.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Lovely, lovely. Um, so Ashley will jump right onto the topic. So many women, they are told that postpartum recovery is just about bouncing back. It's just a phase, and it will pass on, and or losing weight. So, what are the biggest health challenges that new moms actually face?
Yes, I love this question so much because I feel like there's a huge range of problems that we face, but I feel like the most prevalent ones that we face are for women who, they're used to their body looking and feeling and functioning a certain way before having a baby. And so postpartum, that has completely changed not only the visual, physical representation of her body, but internally. Everything has changed. Like your organs have been even moved around during pregnancy, and there's so much change happening with your body. And it's also trying to heal itself from that 9 months of pregnancy, from giving birth. Like that is all a very high stress, can be very traumatic for some women. And so that's one of the issues that's very prevalent. Another one is also the emotional aspect because now it's like, oh my gosh, I have this new beautiful baby that I'm trying to take care of that I love more than anything, would do anything for. And also, I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. And society is telling me that, my body should be bouncing back and, those motherly instincts should just kick in. For some of us, they do. For some of us, it doesn't. And so there's this emotional battle going on within themselves as well. And then also the feeling of just like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one going through this. No other moms are struggling with things like this. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So I think there's a huge struggle with the physical aspect, the mental, and then also just the emotional aspect of becoming a mom as well.
That's so eye opening, Ashley. I imagine many women feel blindsided by these challenges. So, apart from this, what are some early warning signs that moms should pay attention to when it comes to postpartum health, particularly blood sugar imbalances?
Yeah, so let me take you back to my experience because a lot of women that I work with, they are very similar to me in the fact that they were healthy before pregnancy, they worked out, they ate healthy, and then they were kind of shocked by this diagnosis of gestational diabetes. And the body goes through so many changes during pregnancy. Some of us, it could be genetic or just the body is working so hard during pregnancy that it's not using insulin properly. But postpartum, in the States here, I don't know how it is there, we get tested for or for diabetes. The baby is also tested, and so Some women, they just feel like, okay, I'm good to go. Like, I don't have diabetes at this point. My baby is good. And that couldn't be further from the truth. They start to notice that they're very fatigued. No matter what they do, no matter how much rest they get, they just don't have energy. So, that's a huge sign that you have hormonal imbalances. Also, your insulin is probably sky high, is just having no energy. Also, number 2 would just be this feeling of crashing. So it's like you're drinking coffee. This is like cup number 4, and you feel like this surge of energy, but then all of a sudden you just crash. And that's also a sign of insulin resistance. And then the other sign would just be as well as like if you're not checking your blood sugar with a glucose monitor, then also this feeling of obsession with food, right? It's like, oh my gosh, okay, I just ate this. Is my blood sugar high? Do I need to check it again? And like you're in this constant hamster wheel of obsession of what you're eating and then also how your blood sugar is, and then also how that's affecting your baby and your breastfeeding as well. So, those would be the 3 that I would say are most prevalent for a lot of women who were gestational, and are now postpartum trying to prevent the type 2 diabetes from occurring.
Mm. Oh, okay, that's eye-opening once again. And also, gestational diabetes, it increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes later in life. Um, so, I mean, I can understand, although I haven't gone through that experience, but the exhaustion and demands of caring for a newborn, it can be really, really overwhelming. So, um, what kind of lifestyle shifts can help postpartum moms lower that risk, and uh, if they can be easily implemented, like realistically implemented into their daily lives, so that they blend perfectly.
Yes. Oh, this is such a beautiful question. So, things they can start doing immediately are number 1 would just be movement. I know for a lot of women that I work with, movement to them is like going to the gym and like doing 30 minutes to an hour of a really hard workout and like strength training and all of these things, but a simple walk, a simple stretch at home, a simple dance party with your baby, just getting in some movement throughout your day instead of just sitting. We do a lot of sitting with a newborn where you're breastfeeding or you're on the floor trying to play with baby, help baby, doing all these things, but just getting some movement into your day. That would be number 1. That directly is going to affect your insulin levels. That's going to bring it down immediately. And I would suggest getting that in as soon as you eat right after, because that's going to help your body metabolize the insulin and bring your blood sugar down as well. Number 2 would be to lessen your carbs and also try to eat carbs that are not in boxes, that don't have labels, like fresh fruits and vegetables, foods with lots of fiber as well. That's also going to help your insulin level. That would be my second recommendation as well. So, really simple, easy, just movement, just anything. It could be 5 minutes. And then also eating whole foods, whole fruits, that's going to help your insulin levels come down as well. I know as a as a new mom, I was so overwhelmed. I was literally just eating peanut butter pretzels all day long, and you can imagine how awful I felt doing that. And so many moms, we are just overwhelmed and we're just so consumed with baby. But if you can just get some whole foods, fruits, vegetables, protein, all of those things are really going to help with your insulin levels and also your energy levels as well.
And since you mentioned about your experiences, would you like to share a bit about personal journey? I mean, what was that journey behind, which motivated you to create Mama's Golden Era movement?
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yes, I would love to share. So I will take you back to 2020 when we were right in the pandemic here in the States, COVID-19 everywhere, really globally. But I found out I was pregnant and it was our first baby. So my husband and I were super excited. And I had always been super active. So I always worked out. I was a dancer since the age of 3. And so movement, eating healthy, that was just my life. And so my second or third appointment with my doctor, she told me that my A1C level was high for pregnancy, meaning that I was borderline of being diabetic. And so that is gestational diabetes during pregnancy. And I just remember in that moment, I just felt like the room just got so big and I got so small. And I was so shocked by that diagnosis because I had always been healthy. And so it brought a lot of shame, it brought a lot of guilt, it brought a lot of worry like, oh my gosh, is my baby going to be okay? How is this going to affect my baby? How is this going to affect me after having the baby? And my now diabetic? And just like took me down this very dark path, this very dark hole of worry. And so after having my son, thank God I was not diabetic at that point. My son did not have diabetes as well. But then there's also this healing process postpartum where it's like, okay, trying to figure out your new normal, trying to figure out how I can help my body heal from being gestational. Because, as you said earlier, you are at a much higher risk of developing type 2 after a gestational diabetes. I remember reading recently it's about 50% higher. And so I found myself in this place of being so happy on one end that I have a new healthy baby and so thankful. But then on the other end of just this constant worry and stress of how am I supposed to fix my body now? And I started doing a lot of research on fitness, on nutrition, and all of these things. And I found a lot of great things, but I couldn't find anything that encompassed everything that I felt like a mom in my situation would need, which was not only the physical and the nutrition, but also just the mental, the emotional support that comes with a shocking diagnosis like gestational when you're used to looking a certain way, feeling a certain way, your body functioning a certain way. So that led me to create the Mama's Golden Era movement because I wanted it to be a safe place for women to come who experienced something similar, who felt like they had people to talk to, women to share stories, and for them to know they're not alone in this journey. And it's just been a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I'm just so honored to have created that and met so many amazing women.
Well, that's quite a journey, and um, um, thank you for sharing that, Ashley. Um, and there's so much pressure on new moms to produce enough milk, and some believe that eating more sugar and carbs will help with that. So, just circling back to the lifestyle shifts that you mentioned, what exactly is this connection between blood sugar balance and a healthy milk supply?
Yeah, so the main connection between those 2 is gonna be your protein intake. So that's gonna be, your lean meats, your fish, your poultry, those types of things. If you're eating enough protein, it's going to, on one hand, lower your blood sugar, and then on the other hand, keep your milk supply abundant because those are the building blocks for amino acids, for muscle, and for your breast milk supply. So if you are eating an abundant amount. I always tell my clients, okay, look at your hand and look at your palm. You want to have at least 2 portions of protein on your plate every time you sit down to eat because like you said, a lot of it's so easy to grab just something, a cupcake, a piece of bread, it's something that's a carb or high sugar. But when it comes to protein, a lot of women struggle with eating enough because for one, especially women who I work with, they're already obsessed with what they're eating because they want to make sure they're eating in a way to not get type 2 diabetes. But on the other hand, I find that 90% of the women that come to me are not eating enough to begin with. So they're not eating enough protein and they're not eating enough fiber and they're absolutely not eating enough healthy fats as well. So if you can look at your plate and if you can imagine 2 palm portions at least of protein, and then you have your carbs, your fruits, and then you have your healthy fats, which could be like your avocado or what you actually cook your food in, your ghee, your butter, whatever you use to cook your food in. and making sure that your plate has everything on the plate, that it looks balanced. That's going to not only help with your blood sugar, but also help keep your milk supply abundant, or actually increase your milk supply if you feel like it's not enough for your baby at this point.
Hmm. Makes sense. And also, we often hear about postpartum depression, and still, I think a lot of awareness is yet to be created about this. Um, but how much of that struggle, could actually link to blood sugar imbalances? Because hormones and mental health, they are so interconnected. So, can stabilizing blood sugar actually help with emotional health too?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful question. Thank you for asking. Yes, so hormone imbalance is a huge part of diabetes and also just postpartum. Like your hormones are just all over the place, and your body's trying to figure out what homeostasis, like what should it be regularly now postpartum. And so there is this huge connection between hormonal balance and gestation, or I'm sorry, type 2 diabetes. And so when it comes to your hormones, you think about stress postpartum, right? You think about cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And so that is already extremely high postpartum. And so a lot of things that I do with my clients is to really figure out how to lower the stress, at least calm yourself in those very stressful moments. So we do a lot of mind work, we do a lot of identity work, we do a lot of work where it's what can I do in this minute where I feel completely overwhelmed? Can I bring in some breathing exercises? The baby is asleep. Can I go and meditate? Can I go and have some quiet time with the Lord? Can I read my Bible? Like, just what is going to help bring those cortisol levels down so you don't have these huge spikes in your insulin as well. And also, just the emotional aspect of the cortisol being super high. And also, when it comes to weight loss postpartum, if your cortisol is super high, it's going to be really hard to lose any weight because that hormone being out of control is literally fighting your body on losing weight as well. So I love that you asked this question. Thank you so much.
Lovely, lovely. Yeah, definitely. I think this is really a very important perspective. Yeah, and I think with powerful daily habits, maybe small but
Mm.
consistent habits, I think this really can help moms feel more emotionally steady because it's all interconnected. So it's kind of a vicious loop they can get into. So I think it's really really important to address that. Um,
Yes, I love that you say that it's all interconnected. That's why I love your podcast, and I love like the holistic aspect of looking at all parts of the human, right? Not just the fitness, not just the nutrition, but who they are as a whole human being and their relationships and just everything that makes them who they are. That's all part of their health. So thank you so much for what you do. And it's just so important as well.
Thank you, Ashley, for your kind words. And before we wrap up, faith plays a big role in your work with moms, Ashley. So, how exactly faith finds its place into health and healing during the postpartum journey? I mean, I'm really, really curious to know.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So I will take you back to a part of my journey where the part where I was postpartum and I had lost about 60 pounds and my body was feeling strong. I was looking better. Was happy with what I was seeing in the mirror, but mentally, emotionally, there was just something that was still missing. So for me, and a lot of the women that I work with is our identity was wrapped up in our physical body before having a baby. So when that completely changed postpartum, you have no idea who you are. You feel disconnected from your body, and you're kind of just like in this, what feels like a black hole of like, who am I? Who am I? I'm not this person I was before having a baby. I'm in this new season and I just feel completely lost. And for me, it was really digging into the Lord and the Bible and figuring out what is my true identity in the Lord and who am I outside of this physical vessel? What is my purpose now that I'm a mother? Has it changed? Do I feel like the Lord is calling me to do something else? And so there's this beautiful peace that comes from knowing who you truly are outside of your physical body. And so for me and my clients, we do a lot of reading the word, like, what is the Bible telling you specifically in your life, your journey? What do you feel like the Lord is trying to reveal to you in this new season of life? And excuse me, when you have that true identity, it brings this unshakable confidence. It brings this unshakable peace that even though your body is in this new phase that you're trying to figure everything out, you know who you are outside of your physical body. Therefore, you can show up as the best version of yourself for your partner, for your baby, at your job, in your relationships, in your community. It allows you to step into what I call your golden era, which is the strongest, most confident, most peaceful version of yourself as a new mom.
Ah, so that's where golden era movement came from.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Lovely, lovely. I love this approach. And definitely, I mean, you mentioned about whole person healing, and um, I think it's definitely to look, I think that perspective shift is really necessary to see this season as a golden era rather than just a survival mode. Um, great, great. So, um, if our listeners would want to connect with you, Ashley, and learn more about, especially all expecting moms or moms who may go through this, unfortunately. So, if they wish to connect with you and explore more about your Mama's Golden Era movement, how they can do that?
Yes, thank you. I would love to connect with them on Instagram. I'm always on Instagram, so if you want to send me a DM, I'm at Ashley Perry Lambert or at Golden Era Ashley. I also have a YouTube channel, which is Mama's Golden Era, and also the podcast is on Spotify as well, also called Mama's Golden Era. So any of those, I would love to connect with any of your listeners who are struggling with anything that we talked about today. I'd love to be a light in what can feel like a very dark place for them.
Definitely, definitely. That's really beautiful. And we have all the details mentioned in the show notes. And Ashley, thank you so, so much. Uh, I think it's really, really so commendable and so lovely to see that you are helping moms not only recover, but truly, truly thrive in their postpartum journey, truly embrace the essence and joy of motherhood. And this is really, really wonderful. So we'll have all the details in the show notes. And thank you so much, Ashley, for giving this opportunity to us to host you.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's truly an honor to be here with you and your listeners.
And for all the moms listening, I hope you feel encouraged that your health matters too. You matter. So, uh, thank you to all of you for tuning into this episode for the Mindful Living. And thank you to all of you for being a part of the Mindful Living community. If you found this conversation valuable, don't forget to subscribe, share with a fellow mama, and leave us a review. And also, until next time, take care. Remember, your well being is just as important as your baby's. So, thank you.